Hey everyone, Gil here at GrayManPrepping. This is part C of the three-part series, Prepping for Beginners, number 3, Planning for Emergencies. If you haven't seen part A or part B yet, stop right now, check the link down below. I'm going to put it down there in the description, the links to the other two videos. Go back and watch those first, because you can be so confused otherwise. All right, things are being done in an order for a reason. So if you haven't had a chance to watch them, go back and watch those first. This is the same presentation I would do at DHS for emergency preparedness fairs and seminars and stuff for people to get prepared. It's an hour-long class. Actually, it usually ran about an hour and a half. And I've whittled it down just a little bit. We're not going to do the question and answer segments that I would do in a regular classroom setting. So other than that, a few other little minor tweaks because it's on a video. We're going to go ahead now and get going on. If you have questions, put the questions in the comment section down below. I will respond to them. So let's get over here. And we're going to start off by recapping Part B. All right, in Part B, we talked about a plan of action, SMART goals, what SMART goals stand for. We talked about needs versus needs, what you really need and what you think you need. We talked about prioritizing your needs, your wants, and writing everything down. Because if you don't write something down, you're going to wind up forgetting it. We mentioned about bugging out, sheltering in place. Well, let's go over what those are, though. The location is where you are planning to be for most of the emergencies in your plan. SIP is shelter in place. It means stay where you're at. Now, this has several connotations and variants depending on what the event going on is. If you're at night school and there's a train derailment and they have ammonia gas leaking out everywhere, they're going to tell everybody, stay inside, shelter in place, stay there. Don't go out driving through it. And this is especially important if where your school is and where your house is, and right in the middle is where the event is. Same thing can be said about work. If you're working and there's something going on and the zombies come out and start rioting everywhere, do you want to go out into the riots to try to get home? No, you're going to shelter in place at work till the rioters go home to go to bed, and then you're going to go home. Home is generally where most people are planning to shelter in place. So everybody has, I got a get home bag to get me home where all my supplies are, right? So home is probably where most people are planning to be for most events. Unless that event is so bad that they have to bug out. That is, get out of town, leave, go, vamoose, hit the road jack, pound bricks, just, get out of there. If it's that bad you're leaving, then you're bugging out. But you can't just, I'm going, it's getting bad, I'm taking off running. Okay, no, you need to have in your plan a place to go to. You want to call it a redoubt, a retreat, a bug out location, a cabin in the woods, a shelter, somewhere else, a safe haven. You want to have some place to go to. You want to have that in your plan. Sometimes situations where you never plan to bug out, in reality think, I'm going to be here, but I better go ahead and do a bug out plan. But I'm going to be here. And what happens? The unexpected happens. A wildfire comes in. He starts burning up the neighborhood. You got to get out. Well, it may not reach your house, but safety says get out of there. And so sometimes you have to get out just to err on the side of safety. The types of emergencies you want to prepare for determines the types of supplies you need to get. Some people go, others go, what do you mean? Okay, example. If you are preparing for hurricanes, you're going to get different supplies than if you're preparing for earthquakes or wildfires or heavy snows See what I mean? There are different types of supplies you're going to be getting for different types of events. Now, some supplies will be applicable to multiple types of events, but there will be unique supplies for each event that you will need to worry about. Also, because of who you are, where you are, location in the United States, that will also affect what supplies you need to get. Environment, if you're in Florida, gee, do I need to get supplies for a winter storm? Do I need to get extra pairs of long johns? Not likely. So you see, your environment also predicates what stuff you need to get. Now remember, not everybody can be a MacGyver. Not everybody has the skills to do MacGyver stuff. Before we jump into some skills, which we're going to get to in a minute here, we're going to talk about writing it down. Again, write everything down. Excel spreadsheets are great from all the notes you take and putting them into a clarified order of symmetry. You can go ahead and write them in up here. It doesn't have to be any specific order, just start writing them in. Then you go back and you start putting a priority number next to them, and you prioritize them as best you can. Once you have your list in here, you then click on column above column B and drag over to C so they're both highlighted. And then you go up and use the sort filter and sort it by column B. And so everything that has a 1 to it will move up to the top, and then 2s, then the 3s, 4s, and everything will be in order. And then you can sort it a little bit more after that. You can do the same thing with your wants. In fact, you should do the same thing with your wants. And once you have your list done, once you start knocking off the things off the needs, you'll be able to move some of the items from the want category over to the need category. So once you have your prioritized list of needs and wants, that's going to determine the budgeting for your plan of action. Why? Once you have your list of needs laid out, you're going to find out how much it's going to cost. And then you look at your time frame, what you have set up for your goal of getting your plan of action done, and you're going to realize, okay, I may need to adjust the time frame on it because I can't get all this stuff. I can't afford to get all this stuff in 6 months. Your budgeting is going to be directed by your list, and it's also going to be directed by time frame. So and time frame is going to also be directed by budget. It's all interconnected like a spider web. So it's going to change. Things can change around as you look at it and you understand your particular position. So you'll have to prioritize things in your time frame. Which things do you need to get first? Which things can you wait on? And this is important when it comes to time versus sale. A lot of people know that the grocery stores, or some grocery stores, have these every 2 months or every 3 months. They'll have $10, 10 items for $10, mix and match, and they have a list of things that you can buy, for basically $1 each, when they're normally $1.79 or $1.99 or $2.15 or whatever. They go on these super sales of 10 for $10. So you need to determine, can I wait till the next sale to get these items? That's one of the things you got to juggle is time. How much time do I have to get these items? Can I wait for a sale? Now, the next item comes up here is quality versus the inexpensive. I'm going to give you an example here on this one. My wife's an accountant, and she was years ago was suggesting that I just get work boots at Walmart. Well, the work boots at Walmart ran, $39, $49. They lasted me less than a year, usually about 9 months before they started falling apart because they were crap. And so basically, I was spending several $100s over a couple of years to get boots. Whereas, hey, I'm going to spend that $250 on some Red Wing boots that are going to last me 6 or 7 years. And My feet feel so much better in the Red Wing boots because they have better soles in them, better arch support. So in this case, quality won out hands down over inexpensive because in the long run, quality was more inexpensive than the cheap crap. Pardon my French. All right, budgeting. I talked a little bit about budgeting here, just a little short blip on it here. This is where an Excel spreadsheet comes in really good. Set it up. You can set it up for where you got, if you get paid bi-weekly, monthly, or weekly, you fill in the numbers of how much you get paid. Now, what I did here was I put the numbers in for monthly rent. And since you're getting paid bi-weekly or just every half a month here, I divided that number automatically, had it set up with a formula in here, so it automatically filled in at half this. So you knew how much you were spending of your bi-weekly paycheck, how much was going for your bills and stuff. And then you go down, and what it's neat is I can set that like the red here. The red takes a total of lines 4 through 17, adds it together, and that is your expenses. Line 19 down here subtracts the expenses from your net income and tells you how much discretionary money you have left over. This discretionary money often goes away with, oh, we're going to go rent a movie, or we're going to go out to the movies, we're going to go out to the pizza parlor tonight, or we're going to go to the Italian restaurant down the street, or we're going to go down to someplace else. We're going to go miniature golfing or whatever. That stuff all comes out of your discretionary monies down here. But we're going to go in depth more into budgeting in another video. Hopefully, I can convince my wife, the accountant, to do it. That way, you have a professional talking to you about setting up budgets, not just someone who's had it beat into his head over the last 30 years. These are training and skills you need to learn based on what you put into your plan. And you're looking like, well, all I have in there is planting a garden and growing stuff and canning the food. Do you have that training? Do you have that skills? Education versus training versus skills. And some people are going to go, what do you mean? It's all the same thing. No. Education is different than training, is different than skills. I'll give you an example here. I want to be a brain surgeon. I got to go to college to learn, to gain knowledge, education about medical stuff. Then I got to spend some time as an intern working under fully trained and certified doctors to get my training in. So I learn to develop skills. Once I have skills, I need to keep practicing those skills, become better at them. So what and how you need to learn is also determined by what's in your plan. In scouting, we use what's called the EDGE method to train new scouts on the skills and knowledge and education they need. The E stands for explain. This is where senior scouts or the scoutmaster will explain the basics about this particular skill to the scout, whether it's wood carving, whether it's plumbing, painting, life-saving. Then we'll demonstrate that skills and guide them through learning it. That's training. We show them how it's done, and then we have them do it. We guide them through doing it. E is enabled. Once they're fully trained, we enable them to go out and do it on their own, with the understanding that if they come across a problem, they can feel free to come back to get additional help. That's the EDGE method. Now, the time frame of your plan plus the skills you need to learn will drastically affect how and when you need to start learning them. And let's take a look at what I mean. First, we're going to start out by picking out some skills. Just what type of skills might you need? First aid, animal husbandry, aquaponics, archery, auto mechanics, beekeeping, canning, carpentry, contract work, cooking, dehydrating, electrical wiring, firearm safety, freeze drying, gardening, herbalist, horsemanship, hunting and fishing, hydroponics, ham radio, knife work, plumbing, sewing, self-defense, shooting, trapping, welding, and zombie killing. What skills do you need? What do you already know how to do? What do you know how a little bit about, but you need more training to become proficient at? So these are the things you got to determine, and you go through and you pick out what skills you need to learn and which skills you need to improve upon, prioritize them, and put them in a list. And then now you have that list, you know what types of skills that you need. Can you learn these for free? If not, how much is it going to cost? How long will it take? Can you teach it to others? And this is important. If you have several adults in your group, you can divide the skill learning up among several of them so that you guys can teach each other what you learn. You have to determine which skill is the most important to learn first. Prioritize it. Once again, we're back to the spreadsheet. Start filling in the skills you want to learn. How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take? So like first aid, I generally prioritize first aid as number one for everybody, because that's a skill you can use anytime. It doesn't have to be a big disaster. It can just be you're going down the street and somebody has a heart attack, or somebody slips and breaks a leg. You can render first aid if you have the training. Cost years ago was $75 for an all-day course. Ham radio, you can learn all about ham radio. There are certain places that do free classes. They do not charge you for the classes. They do it as a public service. And the classes run usually about 6 weeks, 6 Saturdays, or, if it's in the evening, sometimes it takes 12 weeks, or you do 2 nights a week in the evenings. They cover the material. But you can put all your skills in there, your animal husband, whatever, and then you put the numbers down, just like you did with your wants and needs. Prioritize them, sort it, reprioritize it, and gives you something to work with. Spreadsheets are great tools. Use them. Seriously, they're not that hard to learn, and they do amazing things. Other plans. So you have your base plan all set up, and you got your primary plans for your earthquakes, your tornadoes, your hurricanes, wildfires, whatever. So you have your plan A's all set up. What about plan B, C, and D? Because no plan survives contact with the enemy. And in this case, the enemy is a disaster, because then it could unfold in a way totally foreign to what you have planned. You could be expecting to go one direction. All of a sudden, it's making you turn south when you need to go north. So you need to have backup plans to get you back on track. Remember, plans are living things. They grow, they change, they need to be taken care of if they're to take care of you. Prime example, a tomato plant. They grow, they change, they start blossoming, then they start producing fruit. You need to take care of them. You need to water them, fertilize them, nurture them if they are going to take care of you and provide you with food. Plans should, at a minimum, I'm going to repeat this again, a minimum, need to be reviewed annually. When I worked at DHS, I reviewed my plans quarterly. 4 times a year, I reviewed plans to make sure that new information that came to me, if I needed to update the plan, I would update it. Your plan does not have to be on a singular event. I've mentioned this several times. You can have multiple plans for multiple events. And you can also have plan A, B, and C for an event. Well, this is my primary plan that happens if this event happens, but hey, something went wrong. I have a backup plan. It's like, okay, that's not going to work. Life says that's not going to work, even though theory did. I got to do this instead. And your supplies. You can have supplies that cover multiple events. You will have some supplies that are unique to an event, but you'll have a lot of supplies that can be used on multiple events. When I worked at DHS, I wrote a base plan for the foundation, and then I wrote over 30 tactical response plans for things such as earthquakes, wildfires, floods, hijackings, persons with infectious disease, active shooter, tornadoes, hurricanes, winter storms, ice storms, all sorts of stuff. I wrote over 30 tactical response plans for how we were going to deal with it. Keep an open mind. Someone can always suggest something a whole lot better that you hadn't thought of. Why should you have to reinvent the wheel if somebody has something out there that works perfectly good for what you need? So with that, everyone, that wraps it up. If you have questions, once again, put the questions down in the comments section and I will get back to you. Everyone, stay happy, stay safe, stay prepared, plant something to eat, and take care. All right, guys.